You know, when I first saw the theme for tonight, the first thing that I thought about was that scene from The Shawshank Redemption where Red is talking to Andy Dufresne and getting upset about hope, right? And saying that it's dangerous when you're institutionalized, right? It's dangerous in prison. And when you grow up in an abusive household, it's kind of similar, right? I mean, to have hope is just to be disappointed all the time. So when you take that and then you finally get out, it's like this hope explosion, right? Like, you're like, if I can survive that, I got this life thing. I'm gonna get this. This is no problem. And so if you take that hope explosion and combine it with the inevitable self-esteem that is just abysmally poor from growing up in said abusive household, then you end up getting married pretty young. And in my case, it was to my boss, who was 17 years my senior, and who was a green card holder from Germany. So, so you start off, and there's just so much hope, because I was really in love. But then it was all about, he's trying to make sure that he can make enough money to take care of me once he's dead. And I was like, hey, dude, like, I appreciate the concern and everything, but I'm like in my early 20s, and like, I'm not really concerned about dying quite yet. But he just became this workaholic, and we saw each other less and less. And we certainly never shagged. That wasn't a thing. You know how there's that poem that says, you know, if you want the greatest things, then, you know, the Italians are the lovers, and the French are the cooks, and the Germans are the mechanics, and that's heaven. But in hell, the Germans are the lovers. Anyway, so I'm realizing as time's going on that this is just not gonna work, but there's just that hope. It won't leave you alone. It just claws at your brain. And you know, he and I had all of this hope explosion kind of planning going on of, we're gonna go to Europe, and we're gonna live in Europe, and we're gonna travel everywhere. And one day I got home from work, and he said, you know, I talked to a colleague of mine who, you know, works over at this hotel in Budapest, and he actually just created a new position at the hotel for me, the assistant GM. And I think we should go. And I just thought, oh no. I was having an affair by that point, and I knew there was just no way. And I'll never forget him dropping to his knees before me and just begging me. And I said, I just can't. So he left. And I ended my affair, and I kept living my life, and I just thought, but what if? Like, what if I end this? And there was still hope. There was still a chance for this to actually happen, to this. We could be happy forever. What if I'm giving that up? So I finally agreed to go visit him. And if you've never been to Budapest, it's gorgeous and it's stunning. And I felt like I was falling in love again and meeting all these international people and just having this whirlwind, amazing trip. And he finally said, will you move here, please? And I was like, you know what? That hope might be clawing at my brain like a rat, but yes, I will do this. I'm gonna move. And so I flew home, and I called the mover, and they said, okay, we'll schedule an appointment for next week to come out, and we'll give you the stickers to label all your stuff and figure out what you're taking and what you're gonna put in storage, and yeah, okay. And I went to a wedding that weekend, and I told all of my friends at the wedding that I was moving to Budapest, and I was wearing this beautiful embroidered coat that my husband had purchased for me over there, and I thought, yeah, this is it. And the date of that wedding was September 1st, 2001. And I was supposed to move 3 weeks later, but 10 days later, the world changed. And as quickly as that position at the Budapest hotel had been created for my husband, it was taken away. And he called me and said, don't worry, babe, I'm gonna come back. We're gonna get a basement apartment in Baltimore, and I'm just gonna wait tables, and we're gonna figure it out. And it was like, oh, well, I'm not actually sure that that's what I had in mind for this whole hope thing. And so I told him to come back. And he came back into my apartment and felt like a stranger. Not at all this man I had fallen in love with again. And we ended up just not being able to piece it back together. His hope was much more vibrant than mine. He got married shortly again thereafter and had a son, and his son's now in college. And obviously, I wish him nothing but the best, but I think the moral is that hope is such an innate part of the human condition that despite all that craziness, and despite the fact that it's now, 20 years later, I still believe that there's still hope out there for me to find my forever partner in crime. Thank you.